doomongers of the property market. Today, I'm joined by Thew, who is the sales director of Mishon Mackay, which is a 7-branch estate agency network in the Brighton area. Thanks for joining me today, Chris.
Pleasure.
One of the things that you wanted to talk to me about were newspapers and people being doomongers on the property market, and it just doesn't help anything. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Talk to me.
I call them fun sponges or mood hoovers. There's so many people that, and that's the media, people that are in the industry that have spoken quite negatively about the housing market in the last 18 months. And by the way, I can understand why, but it's not always. But it's not the truth. The reason that we had such a difficult 2023 was because the media. And I think from my perspective, if the public actually knew, and it's our responsibility to educate the public as property professionals, whatever you want to call us, it's our responsibility to educate our local market to actually what is actually happening in that market.
Talk about what's happening to house prices and things like that.
I think house prices, listen, we can get hung up on that. But it's the transaction levels, the levels of the transactions going ahead, property prices, what is actually going ahead, because what might be happening in Lincolnshire vis-a-vis what's happening down in Sussex are two completely different things.
So you're telling me that probably agents should be talking about what's happening in the property market, giving guidance and support. Hey, I wonder who's been banging on about that for the last 9 or 10 years, eh?
I think it's.
Come on.
Yeah, listen. I think it's important, because the general public, all they see is they open up their, dare I say it, tabloid or a broadsheet or their internet on their phone, their mobile, their desktop, and let's be quite frank. 2020, the end of 2022, Trussonomics and beginning of 2023 was hell.
Yes, it was.
And that was media driven and the media storm. And that's not. And also, I think it's really important that we don't forget that there's sort of 400,000 people rolling off their fixed rates at the moment onto a higher interest rate. So I think it's really important to recognise that. But actually, the housing market has actually been really resilient. But it was tough last year, genuinely tough, because the media was speaking it down. The media had nothing else to talk about, so they wanted to drive the economy down. I sit with Ben Madden on podcasts, and I know you do as well. And one of Ben's things is actually about pushing that ugly narrative into a positive narrative. I think again that's something that's really important. And I am ever the optimist. So yeah, that's the reason for why.
But I mean, we're filming this in the middle of February 2024. It's there's certain economic indicators out there that could mess everything up. Should we all be going around with rose-tinted glasses?
No, I think
these people could be right. These newspapers could be right.
I don't think
right so far, but that's not the point.
I think if you look at the fundamentals about the economy right now, is we did have soaring inflation. Inflation has come down quite significantly. Interest rates, there've been a hold on the BAV interest rate for a period of time. There are talks about it coming down, perhaps by the end of Q1, Q2, or start of Q2. I think there's a lot more to be positive about. Listen, I think it's really important, Chris. I don't want to, use your words of sitting here delusional, but there's a lot more to be positive about than not.
I mean, the newspapers are doing it because bad news sells newspapers.
Of course.
Why do you think other commentators are talking of the market down?
I don't know. I'd welcome a nice conversation with them and just find out what their viewpoints are. I think that all the precursors at the moment are pointing towards more positive than negative. I don't disagree that there were some things to be concerned about last year if you were a homeowner wanting to buy, first-time buyer, and if you were a first-time buyer last year and you were sitting around a Sunday lunch table with your parents, they'd be saying, hold off, son, hold off, daughter, don't do it just yet. But that's because what they were being fed. Not the Sunday lunch, they've been fed the drivel from the news.
Everyone has their opinion, and there's always going to be two sides to every story. I will defend anyone who wants to say what they want to say. We're in a country where you can say those sort of things. They're always going to attract a certain type of person. Good for them. And sometimes, everyone. I'm sure there was many agents in '07 going into '08 that said everything was fine, and we all know what happened to the property market then. Only time will tell who's right and who's wrong. And as a blind man says, we shall see.
Indeed.
Thank you for your time today.
Pleasure. Thank you.